The story begins with a girl named Mami waiting in her hospital room for a dangerous surgery. She is terrified and convinced she will die, believing these are the last days of her life. One day, while she's in her room, a person enters. When Mami sees the figure, she screams at the top of her lungs. Dr. Kuroda and his assistant rush into her room. Upon entering, they find her panicking and saying, "That's it, I'm going to die." Dr. Kuroda repeatedly reassures her that she will be fine and that they are doing their best to treat her. But Mami interrupts, claiming she saw death itself and that it came to visit her in a hideous form. The doctor calmly tells her that what she saw was not death but another patient in the hospital. He explains that the patient is afraid of sleeping, so he roams the hospital at night. Later, Dr. Kuroda and his colleague discuss the patient Tetsuro Mukoda. The story shifts to the past, showing Mukoda sitting in a chair across from Dr. Kuroda, trying to explain his condition. Mukoda states that when he falls asleep, his dreams feel unnaturally long. He says this started about a month ago. Every time he dreams, it feels like he spends 2 or 3 days in the dream, yet in reality, he only sleeps for a few hours. Worse, the dreams are horrifying and grow increasingly strange and unsettling each night. Mukoda tells the doctor that the dreams now last longer than ever. "How long do the dreams last now?" Dr. Kuroda asks. "Each dream lasts for a year," Mukoda replies. Mukoda can no longer bear it. His life is ruined because of these dreams. Each day, he wakes up unable to remember what happened the day before. Initially, Dr. Kuroda treats the matter as an exaggerated case of mental illness, believing Mukoda to be delusional. However, he agrees to take him on as a patient for further study. The next night, Dr. Kuroda stays beside Mukoda as he sleeps. Observing him, the doctor notices rapid eye movement indicating dreaming, but only for a short time before Mukoda enters deep sleep. Concerned, Dr. Kuroda wakes him up immediately. Mukoda wakes up looking confused and disoriented, like a lost child. "You're in the hospital," Dr. Kuroda tells him. "You came here yesterday." Mukoda struggles to remember but eventually does. He apologizes, explaining that the dream he just had lasted a year and a half. As time passes, Mukoda's condition worsens. His dreams stretch to 10 years, and his face grows gaunt with sunken eyes. One day, he pleads with Dr. Kuroda, "When are you going to cure me?" "We're still studying your case," Kuroda replies. In an attempt to comfort him, he adds, "Yes, the dreams are getting longer, but they're just delusions happening in mere seconds. There's nothing to worry about. You're only saying that because you have no idea how I feel." Mukoda shouts, "You don't know the harsh, painful loneliness I endure for years and years. Yesterday I dreamed I was a soldier at war, running from the enemy for 10 years. The day before I dreamed I was a student in exam season, spending 9 years taking daily tests. One time I dreamed I was looking for a bathroom. I spent 8 years searching for one. If this continues, these dreams will eventually last hundreds of years." Mukoda's fears come true. 20 days later, he wakes up with no memory of the previous day. At this point, his dreams last 50 years. Another month passes, and Mukoda wakes speaking a completely new language, as though he lived in a different era. His body begins to change, his hair falls out, and he appears to age rapidly. Dr. Kuroda brings a new colleague to meet Mukoda. When they enter his room, they understand why Mami thought she saw death. Mukoda, now unrecognizable, wakes up without remembering the hospital or the doctors. As they try to leave, he suddenly mentions Mami. Shocked, the doctors ask how he knows her. "Mami is my wife," Mukoda replies. "We've been together for 1,000 years. It becomes clear that Mukoda dreamed of Mami being his wife over the past 1,000 years. Now, he believes the doctors are trying to separate him from her. He bursts out of the room, searching for Mami. When he finds her, Mami panics, still believing he is the embodiment of death. Mukoda is confused, unable to understand why she's afraid of him. The doctors intervene, slowly explaining the situation. Mukoda eventually understands, but expresses his deep fear. "These dreams are unbearably long. What if I enter a dream that never ends? What will happen to my body then?" Days later, Mukoda's body begins to deteriorate. One day, his eyes move strangely during sleep, indicating something unprecedented. It becomes evident he has entered an endless dream. Dr. Kuroda reflects, wondering, how can someone wake from an endless dream? Does this mean a person can live forever within seconds? Lost in thought, Kuroda falls asleep beside Mukoda. When he wakes, Mukoda has disintegrated into dust. His body couldn't withstand the eternity his mind endured. In Mukoda's brain cavity, Kuroda finds crystals. In a last attempt to understand Mukoda's illness, Kuroda takes the crystals for analysis. Mukoda's story ends there. Days later, Dr. Kuroda visits Mami, who mentions something odd. Her last dream felt like months had passed. Dr. Kuroda's colleague expresses concern that Mami might be developing Mukoda's condition. Kuroda admits that he has been injecting her with the crystals found in Mukota's brain. His colleague snaps at him, horrified. How could do something so reckless? The colleague demands. Kuroda replies calmly, Mommy's greatest fear is death, of disappearing forever. Now she has the chance to enter an endless dream and achieve the immortality she desires. Dr. Kuroda now believes he has discovered the secret to immortality.